Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Times of Israel Behind the Headlines, where we get to meet some fascinating people telling us about their work. And today we have two very special guests who really need no introduction, but we'll introduce them anyway. We have Dikla Barkai on my bottom right and Alon Zingman on my bottom left. Alon is the director of Shtisel. Dikla Barkai is the producer and story editor of Shtisel. Dikla, are you the story editor of just Shtisel 3 or are the other two seasons as well? I just realized.
The other two seasons as well.
Okay, I thought so. I wasn't positive. Let me go on my introduction. Shtisel, which is obviously going out on Netflix this week to the great wonder and delight of all viewers around the world. This is the show by Ori Alon and Yehonatan Endorsky, directed by Alon for all 3 seasons and produced by Dikla for all 3 seasons. It has won, correct me if I'm wrong, 11 Israeli Academy Awards in 2013, but I'm sure it's earned more since then, and another 6 in 2015. Going on a little bit about, now the interesting thing is when you try to divvy up the bios of Alon and Dikla, they actually have worked together in a bunch of other projects. So it's hard to divide and conquer with you guys. So for instance, if I say that Dikla produced and co-created the series The Conductor, which was written by Ori Alon, who also obviously is the co-writer on Shtisel, but The Conductor was directed by Alon. So there's obviously a lot of work that goes on between these two. An interesting note that some of you might not know is that Dikla also produced Srugim, which was in many ways the precursor of Shtisel, because it told the story of modern Orthodox young Israeli adults in a Jerusalem neighborhood called Katamon. Lots of fans out there as well, I'm sure. And it also won Israeli Academy Awards in 2009. Okay, we'll get into more of Alon and Dikla's background and professional work, but let's sort of dive into Shtisel, which of course aired in Israel in the winter. And there was lots of conversation among Israeli viewers and Times of Israel readers, and who are often Shtisel viewers as well, kept on saying, when is it going to be on Netflix? When is it going to be on Netflix? And of course, as you probably know, if you're watching this, it's coming to Netflix this week. Okay, so for the two of you though, and hop in as you will, how does it feel to know that it's finally coming to Netflix? You've already gone through the excitement of the premiere in Israel, but now that it's coming to this other part of your audience, to the Netflix audience, it's sort of like a second premiere for you guys, I would think. Is that how it feels? Who wants to?
It's a great excitement for us all, I think. Starting back on 2013 when we just started Shtisel, the first season, which nobody had thought that it was gonna get that success, right? Not only in Israel, but all around the world. So it's a great excitement for us all, I think, to know and to feel that it's now we're gonna share it to all the world in a few days. For us, it's a great excitement.
It's a good moment. Dikla?
I think this season was born out of this success of around the world that we didn't really expect it. And we could not this response touched us so strong that we gathered together again, even we thought we finished the work on Shtisel 5 years after we finished it and made this show. And we also want to thank them because we love it. We love to work on this.
Right. Netflix, which has also been the savior for everyone in this year of pandemic. When you're looking for something to do. Now, and I'm sure people have been rewatching the previous seasons of Shtisel in order to prepare themselves for season 3. So of course, the whole lead up to season 3 was more than a little intense, I'm sure, for you. It took a while to I felt like as I was writing about it, it took a while to find out when exactly this season would actually emerge. And then, of course, you filmed it between lockdown #1 and lockdown #2 in Israel this past summer. So I would really love to hear a little bit about that, what that was like. Of course, you put up pictures of the actors and the crew in masks. I'm sure that was just a little bit of what it was like. Give us a sense of, some of the highs and lows of doing something like this in a year of COVID-19. Dikla, you want to go first? Lead us in.
Yes, but Alon was the one to be there, so.
Oh, you actually were not there at all? You were not?
No, I was there, but not
Right.
like Alon. I just visited, but Alon.
It was real crazy,
You
I
want
can
to
tell
stop?
you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was real crazy. We were planned on shooting on May, actually, last year.
Right.
And because of the COVID and because of the lockdown, we had to postpone the shooting in 2 months. And we had this dreadful thought that we're going to shoot it eventually on this hot Israeli summer, which is July and August, which is awful days for shooting in Israel.
And wearing long black coats.
Right, especially wearing the black coats and wearing the
Wigs.
beards and the
Right.
wigs and
Oh,
everything.
the wigs, right.
And adding for all that, being with masks all day. So it was
Small
really
apartment.
in
Small
small
apartments.
small and humid apartments in the
Not air
center of
conditioned
Israel.
necessarily.
Well, actually, not air conditioned, but the production went all the way of purchasing and bringing huge air conditioning systems
Wow.
for all the locations we shot at, and that was that actually what made possible the shooting for us. But even though, when we're shouting action and the shooting begins, we had to turn it down, and because the sound wouldn't let us shoot with the air conditioning on.
Right.
So everybody was still hot and miserable, but it was very challenging. But I think we did okay eventually.
I can say from seeing it, yeah, you can't tell that it was shot during a pandemic, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what's amazing,
It's
you can see it in the frame, yeah.
Right, like there's no, it's a world, as Shtisel always is, it's a world unto itself, even during a pandemic that we've never experienced before.
Right.
Wow.
If you could have watched all the crew behind the camera sitting and watching the scene, all of them with masks, and feeling very hot and looking at the monitor together. And we had also we had to be a small crew in the apartments. The majority of the crew was outside, and we had the older actors and we had babies on set. It was roller coaster.
Right. Babies on set, right. Dikla, talk to me, well, both of you talk to me a little bit about the story editing, again, without giving anything away except for that minute and a half that's on the trailer. So I'm sure people have watched that. We know that there are changes. We know that it's set a few years later. We know that the characters, of course, have matured and gone on with their lives. There have been marriages. There have been babies. Was that what you always intended to do after the second season? Did it make sense to do that? Was that a decision that came along later on? Meaning it's a family that we're all, we know and love at this point, and we feel this connection to them. How does one make a decision about where to go with a script when you're bringing in a third season and people are really engaged with those characters?
Well, it's not easy. And as I said, we didn't think that we are going to a third season.
Right.
It was a surprise also for us. Sometimes we feel that the series has a life of our own and we are just coming to participate in it.
Funny.
And actually this season, it's a unique season. It's more matured, I think. The characters are more matured. they have to deal with dramatic phases in their life, and to see a little bit of a dark side of their life and to handle it inside the Haredi world, of course. Same world, same characters, same fears,
Problems.
same tensions, yes, but maybe a matured angle about life and about not only life and about what life can bring with it. And that's what else can I say without text?
No, I know. It's a little bit of a, you have to be very
Yeah.
careful. I'm sorry about that. Okay,
What
so
was
here's,
amazing, Jessica, if I may add,
please.
that, although 5 years has passed from the last shooting day, let's say, putting together in one set or one location, Shulem and Akiva, it sparked immediately. I didn't have to do much of an effort.
To make that.
Yeah, you put those guys together and like that. It's
That's
like
amazing.
riding a bicycle.
And in that sense, there's also a feeling that it could last forever, because it's not a strong story. It's about the life of the family, and this life can continue and continue forever.
Right.
So you can just reach and touch them and meet
You just
them
always
from
put
time
them
to
back in
time.
the,
Yeah.
right. I mean, Dikla, you've compared Shtisel to a period piece in the past. And Alon, I've also, it's, like a period film. And it's such an interesting way to think about it, really. It makes sense.
Yes, it's not a period piece, but in matters of how to make it, to do it, it is, because if you film a series in the present, then you don't have to worry about all the details, because it's there, the clothes, the way of behavior, the way of talking. And about when you shoot a period series, then you have to make a research and to understand the exact way they are talking and behave, and what they dress, what they eat, how they dress, how they sit, how they stand. And in that matter, Shtisel is a little bit of like a period series, because we had to learn all of these details
from
scratch.
Alon, well, this is something I was thinking about as I was watching it again. Because they've gotten older and they've matured, I also felt that there was a little bit more Israeliness about them in this season. Again, we're not trying to give any spoilers. And as I was watching that, I was wondering, given the fact that you have the two previous seasons and that you can assume that viewers have watched the two previous seasons and know who these characters are, did you assume a certain amount of knowledge on the part of the viewers? Do you know what I mean? Like that they know who they are, they know what their background is. Does that question make any sense, or do you want me to go a little further?
I think that if I understand you correctly,
go ahead.
I think the story for this third season touched a little bit more of areas which are more have to do with Israeli society, if that's what you mean, without giving away any spoilers. So I think so. If the first two seasons were more isolated stories or isolated community stories, this season is a bit more open and gives away a little bit more of contact with Israeli society, which is, I think, very interesting, in my opinion, seeing this family and these characters have to deal with things that actually don't belong naturally to their lives, to their community. And so this season touches a little bit more of these themes. And I think it also shows maybe, I think it's a part of the the way these characters matured in these seasons. They're not only contained in their small worlds, and they also have to reach out and deal with things that are outside the world. If I answer your question correctly.
It's a good answer. I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter what my question was. And then, so then I guess the second part of that question would be, and we've spoken about this before, that of course, the surprise that Shtisel was so popular around the world because it is about this very insular community. And then of course, you've now you know that it is that people of all different types are very engaged with these characters and with this show. So then I'm wondering that you were able to push things a little bit more because you know that there is this connection for the viewers with these characters, despite the fact that there is this, huge gap between who the viewers are generally and who these characters are.
Yeah,
Meaning,
I think that it's not that esoteric story. I think viewers all over the world can relate and connect to stories dealing with social workers and other things we have in this season. What's interesting, it's that we touch a little bit. It's not a huge thing, I think, in this season, but we touch it, and it's I think it makes the Shtisel world much richer, much interesting to see them relate to things that are beyond the usual day of life.
Right.
And I think it's because.
Oh, sorry. Go on, Dikla.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think it's because maybe it's because of the confidence we have that we know now that people knows the characters and they know the connection and they know that they want to stay in the Orthodox society. They don't have their conflicts about getting out of there. So from that, and the viewers are connected to it. And maybe now that we all have the confidence on the place, then we can deal with these questions.
Right. No, it makes sense.
I don't know actually when viewer outside of Israel or viewers who are not Jewish, I don't really know if they know when the character speaks Yiddish or when they speak Hebrew. I don't know whether they know, the customs and the rituals, and if they know it, what actually they're doing. And it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because what we're focusing on is the human presence, the human condition, the human story of the Shtisel characters, the Shtisel family, and the folklore, let's say, or the rituals and every other aspects we give in this world is a bonus, is a thing that belongs to the world. You can learn about it. You can maybe study a little more and know a little bit more about what they're doing and why. But it's not what we're focusing on.
Okay. Which actually reminds me that obviously here in Israel, it's been a very tough year as it has around the world. And in Israel, politically, coronavirus, there has been a lot of tension between Israelis of different stripes. And there has been a lot of tension directed and anger directed toward the ultra-Orthodox community, who many others have felt like are not following the strictures and the guidelines in order to keep Corona at bay. Because there were huge funerals and there were huge weddings that were held throughout the coronavirus. Now, that might not have been happening so much for when you were actually filming in July. I don't remember. I'm thinking back on it.
A little bit.
Yeah. But no one really wants to dwell on Corona that much, but it's still here with us. What was that like for you? You guys have always said, you and the actors have always said, we are secular and the show is about this other kind of world. And as Alon, as you just said, it doesn't necessarily matter. And yet, as Israelis and dealing with the tensions of the last and the political tensions, I don't know. What was that like for you? What did that mean to do this season in this period of time when these tensions were very, very high? Dikla, you want to take a stab at that first?
Yes, actually it's hard for me to answer these questions
I'm sure.
because we stay away from this conflict between the societies. We want to tell a story about human beings, about people, not about. Shtisel has never been a Haredi series. It's not about Haredi people. And yes, of course, you cannot ignore all the environment and all that's what's going on. But we stayed in our world with our characters.
Although you were in
always
those
did.
neighborhoods. You were in the
Right.
neighborhood.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of misconceptions and misunderstandings about between the societies, the secular society, maybe the more liberal and the Orthodox society. It was for decades from the starting point of the state of Israel, I think, and there is a tension between conservatives and liberals. It always put on another disguise, whether it's in Israel, whether it's a kosher restaurant, or whether it's to wear modest clothes, or whether it's going to the army and kind of stuff like this. And I think dealing with the coronavirus added another layer to this tension. It didn't actually surprise me. I think it was another thing that caused this kind of and was this surprise focus on the Haredi society. Look how they act, look how they behave, and there's a lot of criticism. But I want to add another, that there is a lot of in Hebrew we say borut. You don't. A lot of the secular people don't really know. They don't get involved. They don't get to the Haredi's neighborhood. They don't know really Haredi people, which we got to know, and we see there is a lot of colors and a lot of shades, and it's not black and white as the media often portrays. Okay, the story is a little bit more complex than what is shown on news.
Right. Tell us a little bit about the two of you working together. As I was sort of looking back at your bios and saying, wow, they've done a bunch of things together. How did you begin working together? How did that all come about? Who wants to dive in? What?
Yeah.
Lucky?
We're very lucky, yes, of course. And
we really got to know each other on working on Shtisel, the first season.
But you had, and the conductor came in the middle of that, basically.
Yeah.
Right. We've done several things, but the first thing we've done together was Shtisel, the first season.
Right.
Which was, doing this kind of series in Israel, which we always have to be some kind of magicians dealing with the tight budget and tight schedule of everyone, and it's really alchemistry, how you say it. And so I got to know Dikla. She approached me when she was doing Shtisel, and I was after my first feature film, and we got doing the work together, and we step by step
it works.
Learn to, we are like a kind of family. I think we formed kind of family, not only me and Dikla, but also
the whole
the whole crew and the actors and everyone. And I think, if I may say, it's has to do a lot with Dikla's character, which is warm and welcoming and giving everyone a sense of being a part of this family, and that's she's unique in that sense.
So
Alon is a
and
big
Sayed
part.
Kashua is still involved,
Yeah, Syed was
right?
the
Which,
script
just
editor.
to remind our readers, Sayed Kashua is an Arabic speaker, an Arab who is from Israel, who is now living in the States, and has written a whole load of books and films, and a column in Haaretz for a long time, and is one of the script editors on Shtisel, which, also throws in a great, I'm sure, sort of a whole other bunch of concepts with character and storylines that adds another layer of richness to the show. So you're zooming with him on these days?
Yes, we are, and we had a lot of Zooms during these last 2 years working on the third season. It's not that easy. I wish he was here, but
Right.
we learned to work with it, and we have such a common dialogue and a close dialogue with him. Like Alon just said, that we really build a group, a strong group. Maybe sometimes it feels that this is the most important thing in your work, because you get up to these people around you, and sometimes even more to the thing that you do, but it affected
Right.
one the other. And yes, and Syed is a part of this doing, and I think his contribution to the series is big, and he has this this point of view on life that is very similar to the writers, and somehow they see it in this way of humor and humanity, and it doesn't matter where that is a Muslim, that
right.
where it's coming from. The connection is there. It's in the humanity.
Right. And then No More Ayelet Sur, and of course Shira Haas is really hitting this stride in her own career, and obviously, as she has mentioned many times, that she was not about to miss a third season of Shtisel, and it's a great thing that she didn't, because it's wonderful to have her back on the screen. And of course, everyone in the crew and the cast has really been working on other things. It's 5 years is a long time. Does this mean that we'll never really have to say goodbye to Shtisel? What does this mean? Obviously everyone has other projects that they go work on and things that they go forward with. What are your thoughts about that?
It's the third time that we say that there will be no more seasons. So I don't know what to say. We say it again.
You're not saying anything.
Last
I get it.
season,
Okay.
but we said it 3 times before.
Right.
2 times before.
Yeah.
Alon, thoughts about that?
You know how Ori says, if God wills, it will happen.
If God wills, it will happen.
Yeah. I don't know, actually. I hope so.
Right.
Every time doing Shtisel is like coming back home, coming back to a warm and welcoming family. You know that you talked about Shira Haas. She matured with us with the show. She
My
started.
goodness.
We casted her when she was 17.
It's amazing to think.
For the first season, and we like her a lot, and we always saw in her a big, huge talent, except of her huge heart, and she is a great talent, and I'm happy she gets her, her place and her respect.
Recognition. Yeah.
Recognition,
No,
right,
it's also
right.
amazing, to have gone to Unorthodox, to come back to Shtisel. Obviously, there are some similarities, but essentially it's such a completely different kind of show and storyline, and to see her in those different roles and to watch what she does with it is a great pleasure.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah.
And we have also, Yosele Gal Fisher, which was 10 years old when we started Shtisel, and now he's like 19 or something.
It's amazing to watch him so grown up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
No, really, all of them. And and as other characters have gone to older age and to middle age and to young adulthood, and to allow them their space to grow and mature along with all the rest of us. It's a real privilege. Truly, it's a great privilege.
Yes.
I thank you so much for being with us. Really, it's fun. I think people will really enjoy being able to hear what you have to say ahead of watching, ahead of binge watching, probably once they turn on their Netflix screens in a couple of nights. And we wish you much luck, and we want to see what you're going to come out with next. So we'll be following you both closely. We thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jessica. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Alon. Thanks, Dikla.